Hello, everyone. It is finally here. March Madness has finally begun, or it begins tomorrow night, tomorrow at about 7. The NCAA tournament bracket is out. We are excited to go through it all. We already have our first take opinions on who's going to win.
Yeah, gut feeling.
Surprise, surprise, I have Florida. They're going to win. That's not going to change probably. But this is a very interesting bracket. The most interesting bracket that I've seen in a long time. I've never broken down a bracket this as much as I am now, but the discrepancies between some of the regions is unbelievable. To start off, the Midwest is by far the hardest.
Yeah.
The South is actually, it's not by far. The South is really close next to it, and then the East, the West is one of the weakest brackets I've seen. I think you could put any. I think a lot of teams could win the West, and we'll get there. But the Midwest is hard. Wichita State kind of got jacked up. Florida got the best number 2 seed in Kansas. Something's a little confusing about that. And I think that they did a lot based on geography, which, you know, it's understandable because it's the NCAA tournament, it's a bunch of college kids, and all these programs are on budgets. But it's also getting less. You want the perfect field, and the perfect setups and the perfect games, and I think that
you want the best.
The West is way too easy.
The West is way too easy, and the Midwest is just so goddamn hard. I mean, anytime you have Louisville, a team
and
this
Kentucky
good as a 4 seed, and Kentucky with the talent they have as an 8 seed in the Midwest, I mean, if you put Louisville in the West, sure, okay,
it's almost even.
Yeah,
that almost evens it up.
Great, but yeah, and with San Diego State being the 4, I like that a lot better. But you have Louisville, Michigan. Wichita State, which is probably the weakest number 1 seed.
But Wichita State,
there's still a 1 seed.
The reason this bracket is so tough is because Wichita State's in there. Like, give them some credit. You know, they're good. They're a serious team.
I totally
gypped.
agree.
They have to beat 16 seed. They'll beat them. Then they have to go through the winner of Kentucky, Kansas State, probably going to be Kentucky. Then Louisville. Then Duke or Michigan. Then Arizona or Oklahoma State or Wisconsin out of the West. That'll probably be their easiest game if they get there. And then they'd have to play either Florida or Michigan State, Louisville, Virginia, Kansas, another great team. They don't have any easy games left. They'd had all easy games the whole year. They don't have any left except for this 16 seed.
Yeah, not at all. It's really going to be a tough road, and for anybody in the Midwest, really, to go all the way to the Final Four. But I think, and you know, there's not really a clear favorite here. I think there's about 3, maybe 4 teams that could go to the Final Four
out of the Midwest. Yeah, and it's I think it's unbelievable that the Midwest is so much better than the West. If you took all 16 of these teams and all 16 of the teams in the Midwest, I think the Midwest would win 75% of these games.
No doubt.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Louisville versus San Diego State, Kentucky versus Gonzaga, Duke versus Creighton. I mean, I'm taking the straight up number for number matchups. All these are just some of the things we're pointing out in the tournament.
And even the 11 play-in game for Iowa, Tennessee. Iowa was in the top 25 most of the year.
Tennessee made Florida fight their.
They battled with
40
Florida.
minutes.
Probably
they made them fight.
Probably playing the best basketball of anybody all year right now, Florida. And so
yeah. Well, I don't know about that. They've won. They've been the most consistent for about 26 games. Wichita State's gone undefeated. They almost don't count because of their conference.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida might not be playing the best basketball, but they've been playing the best basketball for the longest amount of time. 26 games in a row. That doesn't just happen.
Oh, I agree, but I also think that the who they played have been stepping up too. I think Kentucky
3 games against Kentucky in their finest 8 in their final 8 games. 3 of them were against Kentucky. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. Tennessee played them tough. Florida needed some challenges in the SEC tournament. They needed to not walk through it all.
I agree with that. I think that was the best thing for them, and I also think it was the best thing for them that they also won. I think if they lost one of those games, it would have been kind of a bad situation for them.
So before we get started on the individual brackets, before we go to those separate videos, let's talk about this worst number 1 seed. I don't know if Wichita State is guaranteed worst number 1 seed. I I think that they're for real. Jay Billis keeps talking about how real they are and how they're better than last year and how they're tough and physical. And he didn't even give Kentucky really a chance at beating Wichita State. He's had Louisville beating them, but Virginia, I see Virginia losing in the Sweet 16. I see Arizona maybe losing before the Sweet 16. That Oklahoma State matchup is pretty interesting. But who's the one seed you see getting knocked off first?
I think the one seed that I could see, it's got to be Wichita State and Kentucky. I think Arizona has a really tough test against Oklahoma State, and I think it's either Arizona or Wichita State.
But you think Arizona's got a better chance to get through than Wichita State does?
I do. I think Oklahoma State has not been consistent at all this year, especially since they've had guys come in and out of the lineup and stuff. And I like Oklahoma State. I mean, they just played. They beat Kansas. They played in the regular season, and then they played them tough in the tournament
without Embiid.
Yeah, that's true. But I just think that this Kentucky team, seeing them play yesterday against Florida, and they only lost by 1 point against the #1 overall seed in the tournament. They just look like they're putting it together.
And you know what was so important to me was John Calipari. They're down by like 3 in the end of the game, and John Calipari's smiling. He's like, we can lose this game, but I've got a team that can make a run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
He didn't care where he got seated. He was satisfied after that SEC tournament game. He knew he was going to be in the tournament, and he said, "Look, we're gonna get a bad seed, whatever, but we're gonna be a tough out, and no one's gonna want to play them." And it's true. Going into the preseason, they were the best statistically. They had 5 freshmen in the top 10 recruits in the nation. That's never happened before. That won't happen again, probably. This is unbelievable, the amount of talent that they have. The Harrison twins are finally stepping up. They're finally playing like everyone expected them to. And you're a freshman, so it's hard. Mm-hmm. But the beauty of Kentucky, I think, is that they're not forcing the ball to Julius Randle. And Julius Randle is finding his spots within the offense, more on offensive rebounds rather than being the entire offense. And I think that in the NCAA tournament, guard play is huge. And now that these Harrison brothers are playing more than anyone else,
and I think he's letting the offense run through them a little bit more.
And he knows that they're the most important.
Right.
He's a smart coach.
Yeah. I mean, he's won national championships. I mean, he's a real dude.
Anyway, we summed up sort of the first opinion of the tournament. So let's go ahead and get into these brackets. You want to start with the South?
Well, wait. We'll see you guys, and we'll break down each bracket in different videos, and we'll have those up for you guys, so you can watch each one and get a really good feel for
who's going to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, how you should fill out your brackets, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. See you guys soon.